step. And like I said, it doesn't have to happen to every couple. If I want to get into a prenup, but I should be able to do it. And the court should look into it, like you said, like Rashmi said, like Section 14. Section 14 is extremely interesting. Why? Because it says that the family courts, to decide this matter, can look into the evidence, document, whatever, but whether or not, so important, whether or not it is relevant or admissible under the Evidence Act. So that means they can look into any document, the family court can look into any documents to decide and to get into a fair settlement between the spouses.
Okay. I'm going to take a break and come back on this, so keep the conversation going. At a certain status, maybe the husband has done well, the business has done well, but the prenup says कि इतना ही देना है, but actually he is improved in life.
You would be entitled to that same lifestyle, the yardstick for...
Because the family will say, you are getting married, why should, all our assets be put at risk?
So the law will only look at the assets of the husband and the wife.
It's just not in favor of the man or the woman. It should cut both ways. And that's why I, again, reiterate that prenup would make a difference. Because not only the assets at the prenup, but even during the marriage, they can have a clause in the prenup saying that at the end of the marriage, if something does happen, that we're going to split the assets in such a way. And like I said, the adults can manage on their own, but the main repercussions come on the children. And that is why I think, in my opinion, it's imperative that a prenup is something that two consenting adults should look at least.
But also to support that, sorry Priya, also to support that at the end, the court is looking into the prenup. So the maintenance and the custody of the kids, and like Shreya said, at which age they are at, what is the circumstance,
will all be taken into consideration.
That will be taken into account, and so will a prenup, which is like treated as a support evidence.
And also when you get into a prenup, there are a whole lot of safeguards that get into it. As per the UK, that was Granantino, the UK case, in which, you can't make a woman or a man sign at the last moment, a day before, like she said, the wedding cards are out, and then you get a prenup out and you say you have to sign it. Like in England, I think it's 28 days, there has to be a gap. You can make it 1 month, 2 months, full disclosure, like she said. So there are a lot of safeguards on it, proper legal advice. So people are getting into it, knowing exactly what they are getting into. And that is not a bad thing.
I agree. I think there is a case for it, in terms of not just a legal surety, but I think as an emotional surety also. So you know where you stand and the attitudes of both the parties at the time of, discussing assets. Because